Tonight we always look for interesting video. This one's, well, it's just interesting. A moose on the loose. Snowboarders and skiers at a Colorado ski resort. You say, yeah, the moose is no problem. Isn't that pretty? And suddenly it starts chasing them. The moose just starts charging. Nobody was hurt, but no thank you. Moose on the ski. No, that's not good. Anyway, we thought the video was good. We thought we'd show you. Thanks for inviting us into your home tonight. That's it for this special report. Fair, balanced, and unafraid. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, big interview, sits down with Martha MacCallum in our next hour, and it's right now. Hey, Martha.
Thank you, Brett. Good to see you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Martha MacCallum, and the story tonight, this January in America, you won't see this. You won't see the big grand entrance.
The state of our union is strong because our people are strong.
There will be no standing and clapping, no sitting and not clapping.
The State of the Union speech has been canceled by Nancy Pelosi because she doesn't want to hear the truth. She doesn't want the American public to hear what's going on.
So how did we get here? Why is there not going to be a State of the Union address? Because Republicans and Democrats can't decide how much to spend to make sure that we have a secure southern border. They both say that they want that. They have both backed billions of dollars for it in the past, but for some reason now, it's a big problem. And much further south of the border today, a not entirely unrelated story is playing out. The beginning of the end of the dictatorship of Nicolas Maduro, who oversaw the death of democracy in his country and drove it into the ground. No food, no medicine, and if you spoke up to complain, you were likely to be thrown in prison. Today, President Trump announcing that the United States would no longer recognize Maduro as Venezuela's president. One day after Vice President Mike Pence released a video appealing directly to the Venezuelan people.
The United States supports the courageous decision by Juan Guaido, the President of your National Assembly, to assert that body's constitutional powers, declare Maduro a usurper, and call for the establishment of a transitional government.
Now, back in October, you may remember, the Vice President made this claim about the origins and the potential backers of the growing migrant caravans.
I spoke to President Hernandez of Honduras. He told me that the caravan that's now making its way through Mexico, headed for the southern border, was organized by leftist organizations and financed by Venezuela.
So that was according to the president of Honduras. That accusation is disputed by other observers of Venezuela. But it is true that political upheaval and barely functioning governments in Honduras and Guatemala have driven the movement of these caravans north. That's a fact. And also a fact now in Mexico today, where migrants are reportedly being given tagged bracelets. They're being told to keep moving it north to the United States border. So here we are. In moments, my exclusive interview with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who said this week new winds are blowing across the world, and they are blowing in Venezuela tonight. But first, Isaias Medina, a former senior diplomat representing Venezuela at the UN, he left that post in 2017 to fight what he calls the, quote, humanitarian apocalypse in his country. Isaiah, it's good to have you with us this evening. Having watched and listened to what you have said in the past about how much you wanted to see this moment, how are you feeling tonight about what played out?
Thank you so much, Martha. Thanks, Fox. And I also wanted to thank, on behalf of 30 million Venezuelans, I want to thank President Trump for supporting the restoration of democracy in our country and for supporting our new president, Juan Guaido. I could not feel better to see the wind changing, as you had mentioned, and now to see that a new, young, strong president is taking over and filling the void that has been created by Maduro's expiration of his term. This is a very important matter in the region because Maduro's regime has become a clear threat to the maintenance of peace and security in the American hemisphere. And I have no doubt that also his relationships with international terrorist organizations like FARC, ELN, and Hezbollah are also a very clear risk to the national security of the United States.
You know, obviously they have the terrorist connections, which you pointed out, drug cartels, which are hugely problematic, that destabilize the region, as you point out. But from here to there, how rocky could it get? I mean, is Maduro going to battle this? Is he going to go quietly? It's hard to figure out what the near future brings here.
Well, the precedents are very clear. It's a very cruel dictatorship that has created an economic meltdown for their own interest of grand corruption. But also, the worst part is the humanitarian deterioration that they have induced through weaponization of starvation and medicine scarcity for social control and to remain in power. This has broken down, and today we've noticed how hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans have taken the streets and have spoken out to change this regime that has brought hunger and death to the Venezuelan people.
I just want to play a very short clip from a documentary that was done called Women in Chaos in Venezuela, which speaks a little bit to what you are discussing for the folks at home. Let's take a look.
Hacer la cola no garantiza que mañana voy a comprar nada. No lo garantiza porque puede ser que llegue todo el día y nunca llegó el camión. Y perdimos toda la noche y perdimos todo el día anterior. O sea, nada nos garantiza la comida.
Me siento impotente cuando ellos llegan y ya se nos escapa de las manos sin tener una herramienta con que brindarles salud y no tener que decirles, sino simplemente no hay.
It's heartbreaking. I know you could understand it, and there were subtitles on the bottom. But it's hard, I think, for Americans to imagine walking into a hospital with your child and being told by the doctors, I'm sorry, I wish we could help. There isn't any medicine here.
Martha, if I can tell you something, that they use this social control card. It's a socialist control card that was actually issued by ZTE in China, and they try to control people. And who doesn't use this card, it is walking down death row, because you will not be able to get any assistance either in hospitals, in food, or even gasoline. They were trying to control the population at such extent that they were just killing hundreds of people daily. This is why it's so important that the Trump administration and the international community has supported Juan Guaidó as our new president in charge to take control and bring back and restore not only justice through peace, but the rule of law, which is so important, and democracy, to be able to free our people and our territory from a mafia-failed state.
It's going to be fascinating to watch, and I know it's a happy, hopeful day for you and for so many people in Venezuela. And Juan Guaidó was educated at least partly at George Washington University here in Washington, D.C., or down in Washington, D.C., and he is one to watch here. Thank you so much, Isaias Medina. Good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Martha. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Here now, Geraldo Rivera, Fox News.